Another week, another Giants loss. We've got the complete autopsy coming up next here on the Locked On Giants podcast.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily New York Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, New York Giant fans, and welcome to another edition of the Locked On Giants podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast family, your team every day. I'm your host, Patricia Traina, credential member of the New York Giants media for Locked On, as well as for New York Giants on SI, which is where you can find all my written work. And as always, we welcome on in our Blue Crew community members, our everydayers, our newcomers, and everybody in between. And we thank you so much for spending part of your day with us here on the Locked On Giants podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. All right, Giant fans, here we go again. Another loss that we have to talk about. And, I'm getting sick and tired of repeating myself here on the program, as I'm sure you're getting tired of it as well. It's the same thing every stinking week. All right, this week, the Giants losing to the 49ers 34-24. Now, the score doesn't seem as bad, but trust me, folks, it was bad. So let's go ahead and break it down. We're going to take a look at the offense first. Then Shane Bowen has got to be fired. If he's allowed in that building on Monday morning, then something's wrong. Okay? If he's allowed in that building, it better be to turn in his key card because he's got to go. And I'll tell you why. And then finally, we'll wrap it up with some miscellaneous takeaways. All right? So warning, I am peeved right now. All right. I'm gonna bring the smoke because this team, in my belief, is better than what we have seen on the field. But let's talk about it. We'll start with the offense. Okay. So I had flashbacks watching this offense, the strategy that the coaches put into play. I saw a lot of stick route concepts, and I thought to myself, my gosh, did I enter a time warp to where we were looking at the days of Daniel Jones and Jason Garrett and the stick route concepts that they used to run like crazy? The 49ers, there were plays to be made. And I don't know if it's just what they were calling or just what the heck was going on, but they just weren't as aggressive as they could be. And, I just don't get it. Jackson Dart, plays aggressively. He's competitive. And I don't know if they just put the handcuffs on him or what, but the offense, to me, while not the main culprit in this loss, just didn't look like the offense we saw against Philadelphia in the first Philadelphia game, where they had all kinds of teeth and bite to them. So we had that. All right. Now, some of the play calling was questionable. And I'll go to one specific example. At the end of the first half, the Giants had the ball on the 49ers 3-yard line. So Brian, and I'm talking about Brian Dable, tell me you don't have confidence in your offense without telling me you don't have confidence in your offense. What do? They kick a field goal. Instead of going for it from the 3-yard line and saying to your offense, we've got faith in you. All right. I think at that point, the game wasn't totally out of reach at that point. What do? They kick a field goal. They wanted the points. Okay. Whatever floats your boat. Not what I would have done, but that's what they did. All right. The other thing that is a head scratcher for me on offense, there's actually a few things here. You had another drop pass by Theo Johnson, the tight end. That's now 5 unofficially for the year. All right. Now, I know Daniel Bellinger was inactive this week, but my gosh, why isn't Bellinger, when he is healthy, he should be getting most of the passes because Theo Johnson right now just ain't getting it done, folks. He's just not getting it done. He's not a TE1, but yet they keep forcing that down everybody's throat. I mean, tell me you're misjudging talent without telling me. And that's what's going on. The running back rotation. Can we talk about that? Pick a guy and run with him. Pick your hot hand and stay with him. This week, the hot hand, believe it or not, was Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary ran for 43 yards on 8 carries, 5.4 yards per carry average. Tyrone Tracy Jr., 5 carries for 18 yards, 3.6 yards average. Why not give those extra 5 carries over to Singletary when he was clearly the hot hand? That rotation, it's like it's like Tracy goes 2 series and then he comes out and then Singletary comes in. It's like a set rotation instead of playing guys more to the situation. Okay, so for example, if Devin Singletary is a better short yardage back, put him in there for short yardage. Just don't do it based on 2 series on, 1 series off for the starter. Makes no sense. One of many things that makes no sense from this offense. And look, I've got to say this about Darius Slayton, all right? I appreciate Darius Slayton. I respect the guy, but he had a ball literally knocked out of his hands that I think was in the end zone, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, when you need a big play from him, it's not there. And, what are they paying him for if he's not going to make these plays? So just really the whole offense. And here's the other thing, and I'm going to get into coaching later on in the program because I got to get a lot off my chest on coaching. I appreciate that Jackson Dart plays fearlessly. I really do. Okay, but at the end of the game, when it was garbage time, and it was clear that it was garbage time, and the Giants had no chance of pulling this one out, why is Jackson Dart still in the game, still allowed to run, take hits, and put himself at jeopardy? They lose that kid to an injury, that's it. You think it's over now? That's it if they lose that kid to an injury. Because right now, Jackson Dart's the only reason why I think a lot of people are still tuned into this team. So, what are they doing? What are they doing on offense? And, it's funny. In the media room, I think some of us are split. Should the Giants get another receiver to help Jackson Dart, or should they wait? I'm of the opinion, wait till next year. Don't give up draft assets because you're headed for another top 5 pick at this rate. You're going to have at least 2 premium picks, in the first 3 rounds. You don't have a 3rd rounder. Don't give up that 2nd round pick. Don't give up a 1st round pick. Getting a young kid in here on a rookie deal. All right. Now you'll have Dart on a rookie deal. You'll have Scatterboo back on a rookie deal. You'll have Malik Neighbors on a rookie deal. You'll have the new receiver on a rookie deal. You'll have a nice window open to turn this around, which is probably going to take place, by the way, with a new coaching staff, because I don't see how this coaching staff survives. It's just week after week, the same thing. And I didn't even talk about the pre-snap penalties where they had like a 3rd and 3 and they had 2 penalties in a row that pushed them back. And they had like 3rd and 13 or 3rd and 16 or something like that. Where is the discipline on this team? Every week, it's the same thing. And it's getting tiresome. It really is. But that's what we've got. This is what we've got, folks. It's unfortunate. Like I've said many times, you deserve better. But this is what we've got. All right, coming up next, defense. We're going to talk about it right after this.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends over there at Peloton. Look, folks, it's time to break through the busiest time of the year with a brand new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus that's powered by Peloton IQ. It's Peloton's most elevated technology and equipment yet that gives you real-time guidance, and it gives you endless ways to move, whether you want to work out by yourself or if you want to work out with your favorite instructor, like my personal favorite, Alex Toussaint. He always gets me fired up to tackle the day. And the thing I like about Peloton, it helps me achieve more in less times. They have features that help you plan, stay motivated, track your progress, and Peloton IQ also provides personalized workout plans and recommendations. That's something that I use right now during the busiest time of the year covering the NFL. They plan my workouts for me based on my mood, my vibe, and also my favorite instructors. So make sure you check it out and use it because it also helps you correct your form in real time and it maximizes your reps. It counts your reps so that you can do it smarter, safer, and more efficient. Let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
All right, Giant fans, when the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. The part finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters. Their Trademaster perks like priority shipping and dedicated support make the whole process smoother. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHNFL5 for 5% off your first order. Again, that's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. All right, Giant fans, welcome back to Locked On Giants. I'm your host, Patricia Traina. And coming up tomorrow is the trade deadline. We'll see if the Giants make any moves. If they do, I will obviously have analysis on it. But tomorrow, I want to talk about the coaching staff. I want to start talking about the coaching staff, the GM, and if they should stay or go. And one guy that I'm going to tell you right now who should not be allowed in the building any further is Shane Bowen. I am absolutely tired of what I have seen from that defense. I look at that Giants defense, the talent they have, they should be a top 15 unit. All right. They should be a more effective defense than what we have seen. What's holding them back? Oh, some people will say, well, it's injuries. No, it's not injuries. All right. If you're putting guys out there, they should be ready to play. And what they're doing in the classroom and on the practice field, I have no idea. What Shane Bowen is coming up with, I have no idea. But here's what I saw this week. I saw very basic defensive schemes. All right. For example, they've got the strength of their defense being the pass rush. So wouldn't it make sense to maybe, I don't know, throw in a few exotic blitzes, some twists and stunts to make, to keep the other team off balance a little bit? Wouldn't that make some sense? Did they do it? Not really. Maybe a couple times. So, between that and not being able to stop the run, I mean, this is bad. This is bad. They have injuries in the back end. I get it. They were missing a Debo. They were missing Flott. They were missing Javon Holland. So you had a rotation going on, by the way. You had Corey Black rotating with Bernard Converse, the kid that they picked up off waivers from Green Bay. Meanwhile, on the other side, you had Deonte Banks, and I am convinced Deonte Banks is trying to get himself cut off this team. I am convinced of it because there are plays where Deonte Banks looks like he just doesn't care. There was one play where he had an opportunity to zoom in, make a tackle, or at least try to swat the ball out of, I think it was Brian Robinson's hands. When Brian Robinson ran on that 18-yard touchdown, what does Deonte Banks do? He's just jogging alongside of him like they're jogging buddies. Come on. Come on, man. That's just, I never saw anything like this in my life. Is he trying to get himself cut off this team? Because if he is, boy, is he making a great case for it. And, here's what's interesting. Raheem Nunez-Roches, after the game, was asked about the effort and what's wrong with the defense. And you could tell he was very, he was picking his words very carefully. And he blamed the execution. He said, I wouldn't say it's a lack of effort. I wouldn't say it's, a lack of talent. Execution. Well, we hear that every stinking week. It's the execution. Now, in some cases, yes, it is the execution. One guy breaks down and the whole play goes, down the toilet. But every single play, at some point, you go back and you watch and you see guys like literally half baking it. And they're just like, they're going through the motions. And I don't know if they're just fed up with Bowen, if they feel helpless, we'll run what the coach tells us to run, but we don't agree with it. Do you remember, I think it was during the Eagles game or before the Eagles game, they begged Shane Bowen to be more aggressive, and he was, and they looked like a competent defense. They have not looked like a competent defense since, because Bowen has gone back to being a softie. And I'm sorry, he's got to go. He should have gone 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was, after the first Philly game, but that saved him. So now, let's say Brian Dable makes that decision, and he says, okay, you know what? I've got to put somebody's head on the block. Shane, you're the guy. It's too late. It's too late right now. Right? And what could they do if they do get rid of him? They could go to Andre Patterson as the temporary DC. They could go to Marquand Manuel as the temporary DC. But you know what? At this point, you might as well just ride out the string, because how much can you realistically change in, a couple days before you have to get ready for your next game? You can't. So I don't know what the answer is, but I do know this. Shane Bowen cannot continue as the DC of this team. He just can't. I sense the players are frustrated. They don't want to say it. They don't want to throw anybody under the bus. I'll say it for them. Okay, the proof is on the field. And I was chatting with a former Giant who happened to be in attendance. And we just looked at each other. We were riding down in the elevator. We just looked at each other. And I said to him, is it me? Or what did I just see? And he shook his head, and he said that was one of the worst showings he's seen. And there's been some bad ones. There's been some bad ones. That one was bad. From the schemes, from the game plan, right down to the execution, which at this point, if these players can't execute basic things like, making a tackle, wrapping a guy up, taking right angles, or proper angles, or trying to make a play on the ball or something like that, that's not execution. That's just giving up. Plain and simple. That's what I'm seeing. And that could be because of frustration. And when you ask the players in the locker room after the game, which the media did, we asked Dexter Lawrence, we asked Raheem Nunez-Roches, do they believe in Shane Bowen? There was that slight hesitation before they said yes. You could tell that they have stopped believing. And this is why, look, I don't like to advocate for anybody to lose their job, but this can't be allowed to continue. And I think if Brian Dable wants to try to save himself, and at this point, to be honest with you, I think that's not going to happen. Maybe a change in defensive coordinator, fixes things. Maybe you get somebody in there who's not afraid to be a little bit more creative with exotic blitzes, or just, if you're going to send 4, pulling a stunt, or a twist rather, to confuse the other side. I think it's too late. Might as well ride it out, especially if Dable knows he's a goner at the end of the year. But this defense should be a heck of a lot better than what it is. And, the run defense, again, was bad, especially on the edges. There were too many chunk plays coming up. I think on it was the second Frisco drive, I believe it was. You had 2 Christian McCaffrey runs of 10-plus yards. You can't have that and expect to win. And this happens week after week after week with no answers. So we'll see what they do. It's Sunday night as I record it. We'll see if Shane Bowen has a job come Monday. And if he does, I hate to say it, but get ready for more of the same. All right, coming up next, some final thoughts on this loss. Bear with me, folks. This is a venting session. This is a therapy session, whatever you want to call it. So we'll talk about the rest of it right after this. Hey, Giant fans, the NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head on over to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, Giant fans, welcome back to Locked On Giants. I'm your host, Patricia Traina. And gosh, folks, I don't know what to tell you about this team anymore, other than a change has to come. And, I started making a list. I was originally going to do this during the bye week because I didn't think it would be appropriate to do it this week, but I changed my mind. I started making a list of reasons why Brian Daboll should stay and why he should go. And I did the same thing for Joe Shane. So I'm going to roll those out this week because I just, week after week, it's the same thing. And it's getting harder and harder to watch this team. Like I said, if it wasn't for Jackson Dart, what would be the purpose to tune in? Probably none. But anyway, let's talk about some miscellaneous things. All right. Now, you ever notice that opposing teams, opposing offenses, when they have fourth down and 5 yards to go or less, they always go for it? Do you ever wonder why that is? Because, and this is just my theory, the Giants can be so undisciplined at times that they think that they have a better than 50% chance of getting the first down because somebody's going to move. And especially the more injuries that rack up and you have younger players who maybe are chomping at the bit a little bit, the hope is you draw them offside and you get a free first down or a cheap first down. So it's just something I've noticed with teams going for it. Because if you had a defense like the 1980s Giants, then nobody's going for it on fourth down because that defense will shut you down. All right? Not the 2025 defense, however, despite the talent that is on there. Okay. They talk about execution. At what point do you just say, look, it's just not fitting what we do? I could say, you could ask me to go and play, Beethoven's Fifth on the piano. And if it's not a fit for what I do, which in this case it's not because I'm not really a keyboard player, and I'm sure as heck not at the proficiency level to play Beethoven's Fifth, how am I supposed to execute it if it's not a fit for what I do? Or if I don't understand how to do it or don't know how to do it? I see the same thing with this execution stuff. These guys have been playing football for a lot of them for most of their lives. Okay? They should know at this point how to tackle. They should know the fundamentals, run fits, and all that stuff. Are they really being put in the best position to execute? I think not, especially on defense. Special teams. They had their adventures this week. Jamie Gillen with a kickoff that went, I think it didn't land in the landing zone. That gave the 49ers a short field. Graham Gano had a missed field goal, which I believe the snap was a little bit off, but still, you got to make that kick. You can't let that rattle you. So, just on first glance, I'm going on first glance because I haven't looked at the play again. I do know that, when we were looking at it through the binoculars, it looked like the snap was a little off. But yeah, now all of a sudden, that's an adventure. Coverage units are now an adventure. 49ers had some big returns. And I get it. The Giants were missing some guys on special teams due to injuries. I get that. But come on, if you're going to put them out there, help them. Give them different schemes or stuff. This is one of the things that drives me crazy with what I hear from the coaching staff. Next man up. And I even say this to players, and they agree with me. I say, coaches always say next man up. Like you guys are robots. You're all made the same with the same skill set. And it's not the case. So at what point do you say, okay, look, is the coaching being, for a lack of a better word, lazy because they don't want to adapt to, the next man up? They don't want to put that guy in a better position. They think that, oh, okay, Malik Neighbors goes out. So, Darius Slayton, you be Malik Neighbors, or Bo Collins, you be Malik Neighbors. Doesn't work that way. It never has. So I don't know what they're doing. I really don't. And I try to see the logic behind what they're doing. All I see is a coaching staff that is spiraling out of control, that has no answers. After the game is over, it's the same thing from Brian Daboll. We got to do better. We got to coach better. It starts with me, yada, yada, yada. I could write the stinking transcript without even going because I know what's going to be said. And, at one point, people are like, well, what do you want him to say? How about being accountable? How about holding guys accountable? In the locker room, it's interesting. Dexter Lawrence was asked about, how do you fix this? And he says, just got to study better, study harder, etc. I believe Dexter Lawrence is studying as hard as he can, and he's doing all he can to prepare, even though it might not be showing up on the field. What more can he do if he's handicapped by play calls or the guys around him or whatever? There's just no end in sight, it seems. And look, the bottom line is this. Jackson Dart is not going to save Brian Daboll, despite what maybe he hopes or thinks. He's not going to save him. Brian Daboll will probably, at the end of the year, say to ownership, well, look what I did with this kid. We picked him. He was my hand-picked quarterback, and he's got a future, and I can continue to develop him. Sorry, that's not flying with me. You look at what's going on up in New England. Drake May is flourishing under Mike Vrabel. You get a good offensive coordinator in there, there is no reason why Jackson Dart can't continue to develop into a fine quarterback. So that should not be Daboll's get out of jail for free card, in my opinion. But they still got, 8 games left? Can they at least look respectable? Get a third win? Match last year's total? Who knows? Right now, I don't have a lot of confidence in what I've seen. And again, they have better talent than what we have seen on the football field. And it just hasn't been there. And that's what's so frustrating. All right, Giant fans, I want to thank you for letting me vent. I hope this was therapeutic for you. I know it was for me. I had to get a lot of it off my chest. As always, thank you for spending part of your day with us here on the Locked On Giants podcast. For your next listen, get a double dose of Locked On NFL with Tyler the Madman Rowland, who gives you a shot of espresso to start your football day, while Tony Wiggins takes you into the barbershop for the smoothest breakdowns to end the day. Find Locked On NFL on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. All right, Giant fans, again, trade deadline is tomorrow. If something breaks, I'll have a quick update for you on the YouTube channel and a full analysis, obviously, after the 4 o'clock deadline. Otherwise, we're going to talk about the future of this coaching staff and of the GM and just where things have gone wrong and can they survive. So that's what's coming up. Hope you will join us. Till then, have a good one.